Welcome everybody. So today we will make buns and I will tell you all the steps and how we're gonna go about it. So step number one is wash your hands and get your apron on. That's what I did already. And then we are going to gather some tools that we will need for this activity. So you will need a bowl. You will need some measuring spoons and measuring cups. So I have a teaspoon, I have a measuring cup that's a little bit bigger, 2 cups you can measure with this. I have a smaller one, then I have some smaller ones as well. You will need a small pot and a small knife and a cookie sheet, yeah. And then once you gathered all your tools, then we're gonna need to gather all our ingredients. And that is going to be, you will need some warm water, half a cup. You will need yeast. You will need salt, honey, milk, butter, flour, an egg, some oil. It can be any kind of oil, maybe not olive oil, but any kind of vegetable oil. And then these are for the top of the buns, poppy seed or sesame seed. This is optional. You don't need to have this, but it's nice to put something on top of the bun. Okay? So after you washed your hands and you gathered all your tools and all your ingredients, then we're gonna start with the first step. And that is going to be is to have half a cup of warm water, and you're gonna pour this into your bowl. And then you're going to find your teaspoon and you are going to put, and your yeast, and you're going to put 1 teaspoon of yeast into the water. You're gonna sprinkle it in and you're going to let it dissolve. You're gonna swirl it around a little bit and then put it to the side. We'll put it over here. While that is dissolving, then you will get your small pot and your butter, and you will need 4 tablespoons of butter. So if you look at your stick, on the paper there is measurings. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tablespoons in one stick. So 4 would be half a stick. So you can open your butter and cut your stick in half. And you're gonna put the half a stick into your pot. Now I'm going to put the rest of the butter back in the fridge. And now we will turn on the stove and we are going to melt the butter. While the butter is melting, you will get your milk and you will measure 2 cups of milk into your measuring cup. So 2 cups of milk. Now you can put your milk away. One more tool we need is a wooden spoon. So you will make sure that your butter is not burning. And then you can get ready. Once your butter is melted all the way, then you're going to very slowly pour your milk into the pot. I'm still waiting. There's still a little bit of butter that's not completely melted. You don't want your flame to be too high. You don't want to burn your butter. Okay, so the butter is melted. So now I'm going to pour the milk into the pot. Okay. And now I'm going to heat it up a little bit. Maybe for 20 seconds you can sing happy birthday to yourself twice. Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me, happy birthday dear Tunde, happy birthday to me. And again, happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me, happy birthday dear Tunde, happy birthday to me. Alright, and then we'll turn it off. And we are going to pour this mixture into the big bowl with the yeast and the water. Now we are going to add some salt. And you need 1 teaspoon of salt. Be careful. Maybe don't measure it right above your bowl. You don't want to have an accident with the salt. Okay, so it's 1 teaspoon. Gonna put it in. And then you will get your honey. And you're going to need a 1/4 cup of honey to add. So I'm going to take my measuring cup and I'm going to pour the honey. To the number that says 1/4. And then I'm going to pour this. I'm going to add the honey into the milk, butter, yeasty mixture. Oops. Okay. Now, next comes the flour. And you will need about 6 cups of flour. So I'm actually going to get another measuring cup that is dry. Okay. All right. Maybe I will start with 4 cups to begin with. So I'm going to pour that into my measuring cup. So far that's 4, and I'm going to add it. Now I'm going to take my wooden spoon and I'm going to start mixing gently so that you don't splash the flour out. Okay, so then we're gonna measure two more cups. A little bit more. Now at this point, I don't want to add all the flour at once anymore. I'm gonna add it little by little. So I'm using a half a cup. Doesn't matter, it's just a smaller measuring cup. And I'm adding a little bit of the flour. And at this point, I'm also gonna remove my wooden spoon. And then start kneading in the bowl with my hand. So I'm taking you make a paddle like this with your fingers, and you go from the side and you lift to the middle. And you go around. You can turn your bowl with your other hand to mix the flour in. And now I'm gonna add a little bit more. You might need to ask for some assistance if both your hands are covered in flour. So I'm gonna keep kneading the dough, mixing the flour in gently. You can also make a fist and put your hand in the dough and turn it to mix the flour in. So there's two kinds of movement. This one is like a paddle, and you go from the side to the center, or using your fist and pushing into the middle of your dough and going around. And with both hands, then I go from side and lift and turn the dough. I'm going to take a little more flour, rub it on my hand to clean off the sticky dough, most of it at least, because your dough is almost the right consistency. So let's see. So now I can add the rest. So that was 6 cups of flour. And I'm going to try to mix that in. You want your dough to be not sticky anymore, but you don't want it to be too dry either. You want it just right. So that always takes a little bit of experimenting with the flour. So I think it's almost ready. It's still a tiny bit sticky, but not really anymore. So I think we will need just a tiny bit more flour. I have here a measuring cup that says 1/8 of a cup. I think it's almost like a tablespoon. And I'm gonna add just that tiny bit more to it. And knead that in. You can use both your fists. Good. So I think now all the flour has been mixed in. And now comes the waiting part. When you are done kneading your dough, you will have to cover it up with a cloth and let it rest for about 2 hours. I'll take this cloth. You'll cover it and put it on a warm spot in your kitchen. So, after your dough has risen, you can tell that it's been risen, the yeast has been working. You can punch it down a little and just knead it. Just go around kneading it a little bit one more time around. And you see it's not really sticky anymore. You can put your fist in it and take it out and not too much dough is sticking to it. Okay, so you're going to be ready to shape your buns in a minute. But you're going to turn on your oven first. And I'm going to turn mine on to 400. Okay? And while the oven is heating up, then you can get your cookie sheet ready. And what you will need to do is you will need to pour a little bit of oil onto your cookie sheet. And then take your brush and spread the oil. Brush your, make sure that the whole bottom is covered. And that's so that the buns won't stick to your cookie sheet when you put them in the oven. Okay? Now, you make sure that your counter is nice and clean. I have a little bit of flour, but it's been cleaned. And I'm going to take the dough, take it out, and put it on the counter. There it is. And I take a knife, and then I'll cut a piece off. And then I cut that piece into about the same sizes that I would like my buns to be. Let's see. These are about the same. You can also just take a piece from your dough and do it like that. I like to cut mine. I find that it's easier to get them about roughly the same size. Now there is different ways to shape buns. I do them 2 at a time, and I do it right on the counter with a circular motion. So you can shape them like that, and you put them on your cookie sheet. Or, and this might be easier for some of you kids, you can take the dough and you can make a long snake like this. And then you can roll it into like a snail. And if that's easier for some of you, that you can do that as well. So I will show you, I will demonstrate again because we still have, so I'm cutting another piece. And I'm going to cut them into roughly the same size. I'm going to roll. can see on the bottom there's a little spiral. And maybe I will make one other snail bun so you can see. You can roll it. It's about 10 inches. And then you can just roll it up like a snail. Now your buns have been shaped. Now you need a little bowl and an egg. I'm going to crack the egg. And use a fork to mix it. And then you can use the brush that you used for oiling to paint your egg onto the bun. And then we can sprinkle them with poppy seed or sesame seed. So I will need a little spoon. I'm going to use a spoon for the sesame seed. Just shake a little bit, and don't worry if some goes on the tray. Okay, that's about half. And then I will put poppy seed on the rest. Okay. So now your buns are ready to go into the oven. And I think the oven should be hopefully ready. You can put them in the oven. And I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes. Or actually 12. Let's do for 12 minutes. It's always good to check in between. Depending on your oven, you might need to turn the buns around because it cooks not evenly. So, and while you're waiting, you can clean up. While you're waiting the oven, waiting for the buns to bake, so you can clean up in the meantime. All right, the timer has been done, and I have to leave it in for another 5 minutes or so. I turn them around, and I think now they are ready to be taken out. So I've got my oven gloves, and here we go. Here are our buns. They are ready. You can turn off the oven. And you can remove them. All right. So, here you go. Here are your buns. Enjoy. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will have fun making the buns.